All right, so if you're building anything on AWS, you already know that good monitoring isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely critical. But what if you could just skip all the boring setup and jump straight to the good stuff, the actual insights? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today.
So, let me ask you this. Are you spending more time building dashboards than actually writing code? Come on, be honest. If you're a developer or you're on an ops team, I'm willing to bet this question hits really close to home. The whole point is to understand your applications, right? But it feels like most of the time you're just stuck in setup mode, building everything from scratch.
In that setup phase, yeah, it can feel like you're lost in a maze. Before you can even think about analyzing performance, you have to run this whole gauntlet of manual tasks. You know the drill. It's an absolute grind. First, you're buried in documentation, trying to figure out which metrics even matter. Then comes the fun part, painstakingly writing those agent configuration files. After that, you're just staring at a blank canvas, dragging and dropping widgets to build a dashboard. And to top it all off, you have to invent every single alarm from scratch. It's not just a time sink, it's so easy to mess something up. Yeah, it's a feeling every single one of us has had at some point. You just think to yourself, there has to be a better way. You know the data's right there. You just want to get to it without all this ceremony. Well, the good news? There is.
And that better way is what AWS calls a monitoring blueprint. We're talking about CloudWatch observability solutions. And trust me, they're designed to completely change this whole game. So what are they, really? The best way to think of them is like a starter kit or a blueprint, just like the name says. Instead of having to build your house from a pile of lumber, you get this expert-designed, ready-to-use set of plans. It's a catalog of configurations that just fast-tracks your entire monitoring setup for all sorts of common workloads. Think JVMs, Kafka, Nginx, you name it.
Okay, so what do you actually get inside this blueprint? Well, for starters, you get pre-built dynamic dashboards, so no more staring at a blank canvas. You also get pre-written CloudWatch agent configurations, which means you can stop digging through docs. And on top of that, it even comes with recommended alarms and some focused guidance to get you up and running.
Okay, all that theory is great, but let's make this real. We're going to walk through a super common example, setting up monitoring for a Java virtual machine, a JVM, that's running on an EC2 instance.
And really, this slide just says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you've got that manual maze we talked about. And on the other, the after, where these observability solutions boil the whole thing down to a simple, automated, three-step process.
So what are those 3 steps? Let's break it down. First, you take the agent config that AWS gives you, and you store it in the SSM parameter store. Super simple. Second, you deploy the agent using a CloudFormation template, again, one that AWS provides, and you just point it to that config. And third, you just launch the pre-built dashboard from the CloudWatch console. That's literally it. You're done.
And here's the best part. That super complex JSON configuration for the agent, it's already written for you. All you have to do is pop in your specific JAM export and give your application a group name so the dashboard makes sense. All the really heavy lifting is already done.
All right, so you've done that quick 3-step setup. What's the payoff? Well, it's immediate. You go from zero to actual valuable insights in a matter of minutes. That pre-built dashboard just lights up with all this critical JVM info. Instantly, you're monitoring things like heap and non-heap memory usage. You're analyzing thread and class loading to find concurrency issues. You're tracking garbage collection to sniff out potential memory leaks. And maybe the coolest part, the dashboard is dynamic. As you spin up new EC2 instances in that group, their metrics just automatically show up. No extra work.
And that right there, that's the whole point. This brilliantly illustrates the power of starting with a complete setup, not a blank canvas. You get to skip that whole tedious build process and jump straight to the part that actually matters, analyzing and troubleshooting your app.
And of course, this isn't just for JVMs. The catalog of these solutions covers a whole bunch of common tech. We're talking Nginx, Apache Kafka, workloads running on NVIDIA GPUs, Apache Tomcat, the list goes on and on. Okay, so before you run off and try this, there are a few practical things you probably want to know. Let's just quickly cover the key considerations. First up, cost. What's this going to set you back? Well, the good news is there's no extra charge for the solutions themselves. You just pay for the standard CloudWatch usage. You know, the custom metrics, that one dashboard, and the API calls. Next, what about customization? The answer is yes, absolutely. You can tweak both the agent config and the dashboards however you want.
Just one little gotcha. If you change what metrics the agent is collecting, you have to remember to update the dashboard to show them. And finally, any limitations? Yeah, a couple to keep in mind. Dashboard widgets can only show up to 500 time series at once. And if you need a dashboard that spans multiple regions, you'll have to do a little manual JSON edit to get that working.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that these solutions are powerful starting points, not rigid black boxes. They're designed to save you a ton of time, but they still give you all the freedom you need to customize and extend them for your specific use case. So, are you ready to skip the setup and get right to the insights? By starting with one of these blueprints, you get to focus on what actually matters, understanding how your applications are really performing. The question completely changes. It's no longer, how on earth do I build this? But instead, what can I learn from this?